Hey guys, welcome to the Out of Network podcast, where we take a deep dive into the good and the bad and the ugly of American healthcare system. I'm Dr. Ryon Parker, and I'm here in the studio in Las Vegas. Dr. Seth is back in Tampa, and today I have the privilege of interviewing a great friend and fellow colleague, Dr. Dan Barrera. Dr. Barrera is not only a talented surgeon, but he is subspecialty trained as a hepatobiliary specialist. I could say that Dan's career is fairly early, and like many young physicians, showing up into a medical field that a lot of times is very challenging and uncertain, which we talk about a lot in our podcast. So today, we're talking about what it's like to be a surgeon, the realities and challenges of the OR, and really what it takes to be a physician and a surgeon. Dan, thank you for coming in today. Welcome to Out of Network.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Parker.
So how often have you heard of Out of Network as a physician, right?
Oh, my Lord. Often.
So I wanted to get right into it. And I know the question's a little cliche, but really, what inspired you to be a surgeon?
Sure. Well, it goes back to, honestly, since I was a little kid. So my grandfather was a rheumatologist. So smartest man I ever met, till this day.
Rheumatologist?
Rheumatologist.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're all very, very smart typically. So I, as a kid, I just showed a lot of interest in what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Even in, my grandparents' apartment, I was always rummaging through his textbooks and reading through his stuff and always asking him questions. And then eventually he started bringing me like on his rounds. So even as like a little 7-year-old, 8-year-old, I was walking around meeting patients and I was fascinated by it. So grandpa always said that all the grandkids had, there was a bunch of us, right? But I had the biggest head. So he said that I'd be the smart one. So he kind of picked me and groomed me to be the doctor, I guess.
Wow.
But
You were 7?
I was pretty young, yeah. But even from there, I think just a lot of aspects of my personality also are just kind of geared towards doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a very empathetic kid, a very caring person. I always like to build things as well. So I was always good with my hands. So all those things kind of led up to me finding this career. It was almost in a way, it was kind of like I was meant to do this.
Yeah.
I can't really picture myself doing anything else.
Yeah. Why surgery? Did something happen in your life? Were you with a surgeon? Why not other areas in medicine or rheumatology?
Right. Well, I like the hands-on aspect of surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I was good at building things, putting things together, figuring things out. I was always, growing up, the kid that was like putting things together, building things, even like putting furniture together for my house, or like just building toys. And so I've always been good with my hands. So
Very good.
yeah.
Walk us through the journey. So
Lord.
From start to finish. I know a lot of listeners don't necessarily know the toll of medical education, what it took to get to where you are today. So can you inspire us a little bit, share a little bit of that journey?
How much time do you have? It's a long road to become a surgeon, especially a specialist. But so I'll start with, I did my undergrad in Florida, where I grew up in Florida. So I did undergrad at University of Central Florida. From there, I spent a year at the NIH doing research, getting ready to apply for med school, just to try to boost up my applications. I spent 4 years in medical school in Kansas City, at Kansas City University, osteopathic medicine. From there,
Did you have good experience there?
Yeah, Casey was awesome. It was surprising, growing up in Florida, it's very different than going somewhere like Kansas City in the Midwest. It was really my first time in that kind of environment. It was kind of almost like a culture shock, but a reverse culture shock, because Florida, it's very different. It's like very multicultural, and I just grew up with everyone speaking Spanish, and you go to a place like
Midwest.
KC where it's very different.
Mhm.
But I really liked it. I was open to any experience. I thought it was cool. Very friendly people there. I met my future spouse there. So
Can't wait to talk about.
um, so from KC, I went to Colorado, to Denver. I did my general surgery residency there.
How long was that?
That was 5 years. So I did general surgery residency at St. Anthony Hospital. It was an amazing experience. Residency was hard, very hard, especially surgical residencies. Very grueling, but I picked St. Anthony's because it was the experience that I wanted there. We can get more into that later, but very hands-on kind of program. That's what I wanted. So from there, I went back to Florida to do a year of hepatobiliary and advanced GI surgical oncology fellowship.
Okay.
So and from there, I came to Las Vegas, where I'm at now.
So it's 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, 5-year general surgery residency.
Yep.
And
I did a year of fellowship.
1 year hepatobiliary specialty.
Yep.
What is a hepatobiliary surgeon?
Okay.
What do they do?
Good question. A lot of very complex abdominal surgery. It's so the official kind of title is managing the malignant and benign diseases of the liver, the bile duct, and the pancreas. But that encompasses a whole array of issues. My main focus is pancreatic cancer. Is my main passion. But honestly, anything pancreatic is kind of my wheelhouse. I just absolutely love it. It's challenging. They teach surgeons, there's a saying in surgery, it's eat when you can, sleep when you can, don't touch the pancreas. Well, I touch the pancreas, but I just like the challenge.
I think I've been told that as well. So
Yeah. I'm crazy enough to do this stuff.
yeah,
So
I'm sure you've seen a lot of, obviously as an internal medicine physician, you typically think of pancreatic cancer as a death sentence. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of challenges. Have you seen a lot of obviously positive outcomes? And I think you would know it better than me. Are we getting better with pancreatic cancer treatments?
we are. It is a slow process, but it's making improvements. There is that conception of pancreatic cancer is this horrible. It is a horrible disease. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but it's not the death sentence that people used to think.
Yeah.
There is hope for patients. The chemotherapies and the immunotherapies have gotten a lot better compared to even maybe 10, 15 years ago. Surgery and the technology with surgery is getting better as well. So the survival outcomes are improving significantly for patients. We still have a long way to go.
Sure.
I'm hoping that in my lifetime, I would love to see those numbers go up, but we're getting there.
Outstanding. How many hepatobiliary specialists are in Las Vegas?
Let me think. Not many.
Yeah.
There is about 4 that I can think of.
Okay.
So
quite busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Can you tell me what it has been like to transition from being a surgical resident and a fellow, being under the guidance of obviously surgical attendings, to now being in an independent practice and serving as an attending? Has the transition from education been easy? In other words, what is your thoughts on being a real attending in the current state of American healthcare?
Transitioning from training to being an attending, it's totally different as far as the level of responsibility. As an attending, the buck stops with me, so I don't have that person on my shoulder kind of whispering and guiding me. The decisions are coming from me.
Right.
I do have access to, I do have access to partners. I have my mentors that play a big role in my life still. But patients are looking at you, and what you're telling them means everything.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to, there's a different level of responsibility. You have to show up, and you can't fake it. You have to really be there for your patients because they're relying on you. This is, a lot of times it's life and death.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of pressure on you as a attending. But there's a lot of success stories, and there's a lot of good things, and you also help a lot of people too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not a responsibility that should be taken lightly. I don't take it lightly.
Sure. We often hear in the surgical world that there is really no work-life balance. And how do you navigate that from being a successful surgeon to trying to obviously have a life and a family, and how do you navigate that and take time for yourself?
That's always the struggle for most surgical specialties, for most surgeons. Work-life balance is what we're all looking for.
Yeah.
It's what I tell people that I know is that being a surgeon, at least the way I feel, being a surgeon is harder for everyone around you than it is for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you truly love what you're doing, which I do, I love being at work. Yes, it's tedious, it's hard. There's a lot of things that go on every day. There's a million decisions that I'm making in a day, but I know it's where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Do you regret the decision of going into surgery?
Not at all. Not a single day. But it's hard on your loved ones.
Sure.
You know, it's hard on the people around you because they want to see you more. You know, they want you to spend your free time like doing free time stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you're trying to play catch up,
right,
with work and with patients.
Right.
So, yeah, it's tough.
How has it been practicing in Las Vegas? And you know, I know you've heard the stereotype that Vegas healthcare is third world, and that all the physicians here are not to the caliber of other physicians in the United States. And you know, obviously, I'm an internist in Las Vegas. I practice concierge medicine, and it really bothers me that there's that reputation.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because I do feel like there are excellent physicians and specialists and surgeons in our community, and I feel like we're always fighting against that stereotype.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that?
Yes. That stereotype drives me nuts because there is good medicine here in Vegas.
Yeah.
There are a lot of younger surgeons coming in, newer surgeons that are doing, you know, more state-of-the-art things. We have a ways to go here in Vegas. You know, we can talk more about that in a bit, but the misconception is for these complex surgeries, these diagnoses
that you're doing,
that I'm doing,
especially,
you need to go to LA, you need to go to California.
Right.
There's no one here that can take care of you.
Right.
And that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Right.
There's excellent surgeons here in Vegas. It's a little more burdensome for patients because of just the way the medical system is set up in Vegas. It's a little bit more burdensome for trying to get all the workup and things done.
Right.
But there's excellent surgeons here.
Right.
So
it's almost like the system is not setting us up for success.
Yeah.
The quality of the physicians are certainly
right.
Are
but
certainly
it's
there.
Also teaching the community that we're here, that there are good surgeons here, and it's also educating a lot of the referring providers. I had a patient that saw me a few months ago, had a Whipple surgery, a big pancreatic resection. I didn't do it, but came from California, but it's having complications. So now they're in my office, and I'm like, why? Curious, why did you go to California? And they were like, well, my oncologist told me that there's no one in the city that can do these surgeries. I'm like, your oncologist said that?
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's the furthest thing from the truth. I could have happily done the operation.
Absolutely.
So
what do you think?
It's a work in progress.
What do you think needs to change? What is it? Something at the state level? Is it a fault with everybody likes to blame the insurance companies. So is it a fault with them? What do you feel?
It's a big part of it. I think Vegas needs a little bit more centralized type of medicine. I think there's a lot of small private practices that are all competing with each other. You know, and patients get kind of lost in the mix sometimes. It's a lot for them to do. And these patients are already dealing with cancer, and they have anxiety, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So now you're throwing all these moving little pieces at them, and the insurance wants you to go here. They don't want you to go there. This hospital doesn't take your insurance. You need to go to that hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Workup is getting denied. So it's just a lot on the patients. Where I trained, in Florida and Colorado, everything was very centralized and very streamlined, these kind of bigger hospital systems.
Mm-hmm.
And this may not be the answer to everything, but
It was a lot easier.
I just felt that patients were kind of the priority,
Sure.
and their ability to get the treatment that they need was a priority.
Right.
I
think that's what Dr. Seth and I always talk about, is the beautiful thing about concierge medicine, and how having that relationship with the patient and knowing them intimately, to have that ownership for that patient's care. So when they are having the workup and having the surgery, that the concierge internal medicine physician is there to help navigate and guide. So I know I certainly have shared a lot of patients with you and have seen how easy of a transition that is from the OR to handing back over into my world. So,
and we're happy to take care of your patients.
Thank
Mark, our Barrera is excellent.
So I know we hit a little bit on some of the, I guess, the challenges in Las Vegas, but on the Out of Network podcast, we talk a lot about the challenges with the American healthcare system and the inefficiencies with the American healthcare system. So I'm curious, from a surgeon's perspective, what do you feel in general is some of these inefficiencies or problems with our current healthcare system?
It's access to healthcare is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's access to healthcare, but also even when they do have access, it's access in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there's so much bureaucracy and things that we have to get through just to get some workup done for these patients. It's extremely frustrating, and it's not fair to the patient.
Yeah.
Can
you give me an example of, walk me through a challenging situation that you've encountered?
Sure. So
whether it's an insurance denial, or can you tell me?
So, there's a lot of examples, but I think recent ones that I can think of are, I had a patient that came in with a mass in her abdominal wall, suspicious looking abdominal mass on imaging. I don't know what this thing is. Is it a sarcoma? Is it something benign? Is it, I don't know. There's a million different differentials, right? So I like to do a thorough workup. I like to know what I'm getting into before I operate. So I requested a biopsy, a percutaneous biopsy, very routine. The patient struggled for weeks just to try to even get this thing booked. And I saw her probably in early September, and the soonest she can get the biopsy was in November.
Oh my gosh.
So then she's in so much pain from this, and I'm having to have this conversation with her about, because I brought her back. I'm like, so what do we do? Do we just go and operate? Mind you, I don't know what this is going to be. You may end up needing...
Was it a problem with the hospital, or was it the insurance?
It was an issue with insurance, and then once we got that figured out, it was an issue with the facility, with the imaging facility, because again, they're all privately owned. So
you're trying to navigate for the patient, getting a procedure essentially approved, which can take time. And then you're also trying to navigate a hospital entity, for example, to get approval for OR, other healthcare services, correct?
Yes.
And that often is a challenge.
Yes.
So
ultimately, I ended up taking her to the OR without a biopsy. We talked about it.
Right.
And I had to tell her, if this is something cancerous, you may need something additional afterwards, whether it's more surgery, whether it's chemotherapy or radiation. Those are kind of things that I want to know the answers before I operate. But
it should not be that difficult.
Right. But you kind of have to change your practice a little bit to help your patients, because I can't tolerate this young patient being in pain anymore.
Right.
So we had to do something.
Right.
That's just one example.
Do you wish there was something that you knew going through training that may have either brought you into a different area of medicine, or is there something that you wish you would have known to better prepare you? I should ask that.
Good question. The obvious answers are like the billing and the kind of the business side of medicine, which we're not really taught,
Right.
at most of our residencies.
Right.
So that part was something I had to learn. I had to learn it quickly because I'm like, oh, what's the big deal about billing? I'm like, well, I'm in a private practice, so my group needs to get paid, and people they're on top of what I'm billing, and it matters.
I think it's so important to focus on the clinical. And yes, they do a great job of teaching.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be nice, and I say this all the time, to have a dedicated program really for those physician leaders, physician entrepreneurs, physicians who really want to go into private practice, for example, to really learn the business side of medicine, or even better yet, just how to navigate through this complex insurance system.
I would sign up for it, but residency was already I already wasn't sleeping, so.
Yeah. So,
but absolutely. But there's the marketing is a big thing in private practice. Getting myself out there, letting people know, hey, I'm a specialist. You can trust me. I know I'm young.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. It's youth is kind of sometimes against you because people they don't trust you because you're young. But I'm like, I may be young, but I'm pretty.
I would rather have that young surgeon fresh out of training, aside from the older physician who's shaking, holding the scalpel. Right. Yeah. So
we've all met them.
Know when to retire. Correct. So, Dr. Barrera, I think you are an outstanding surgeon, and the medical community in general in Las Vegas is quite small, and so I know you have an outstanding reputation. I know you do well for patients, and I really appreciate all what you do for me and my patients.
Right.
I want to kind of turn the page a little bit, and I want to ask some personal questions, if I may.
Sure, have at it.
I know being a gay physician has its challenges, and certainly in a field that is traditionally conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Have you encountered situations that, I guess, have really shaped your professional experience, either positive or negative?
I would say I've been fortunate that I haven't had too many negative experiences with it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a more conservative field. It is. But what I've encountered has been good things. But I've surrounded myself with good people, so I know it's not the same case for a lot of other trainees and other surgeons and other medical providers, because we still have a long way to go with equality and with acceptance here in this country. But for the most part, my experiences have been positive.
Good.
I came out when I was in residency. I officially came out when I was no, wait, I take that back. I don't even remember anymore. I came out in medical school. I was a second-year medical student, and
I did too.
I was just struggling, and I'm like, I need to come out of this freaking closet, and where I am gonna, I don't know, it's gonna not be good. So finally, that was a whole process, and then in residency, so I felt like I always had to keep coming out again, and it was just frustrating because every time you go somewhere else, it's, hey guys, I'm Dan. No, I don't have a wife. I have a husband, or it's kind of those things. But overall, the experience has been good.
It's been good
for me, thankfully.
I think I remember, and this was actually right after I had started our practice, that obviously I'm not one to advertise or carry the rainbow flag. If patients ask, I feel I have a responsibility to be always honest and truthful, something that I always, for the longest time, I wasn't.
Right.
And I had a patient, an older patient, that asked me if the co-owner of the practice was my brother.
Oh.
And I said, no. I said, no, that is my husband.
Yeah.
And politely, he said, I don't think I can have you as my physician anymore. And very nice. And as I've always said, it's not about me or our agenda. I am here to serve the patient.
Right.
And if I am making them uncomfortable or whatever the situation is, then maybe they deserve a better doctor. I don't know. But I politely canceled his membership in the practice and went on our way. But that moment really taught me that I guess I learned that there's always going to be those prejudices. Unfortunately, there's always going to be those people that don't understand. I just wish that he would have judged me more on my abilities as being a great physician and not on what I did in my personal life. So I feel growing up gay and in many ways has made me the physician I am today. And whether it's good or bad, but I don't look at it as such a negative thing.
Right.
I definitely grew up in the church and definitely have a faith that will never be shaken. But it's and I've even heard it from the gay community. How can you have faith in something that doesn't have faith in you?
Yeah.
But for I think for me, and maybe I can speak for you, that I think it's definitely made us who we are today. Right.
Absolutely.
So
and I'm sorry that you had that experience.
It's it is what it is. It is what it is.
I was raised by a single mom who's the strongest, most badass woman I know.
Yes, she is.
She taught me everything. So she told me when I came out that not everyone is going to agree with your lifestyle, but who gives a damn? Like your purpose in life is to help people. So I really have made that my mission.
Yeah.
You may not agree with my lifestyle, but ultimately I'm here to take care of you as a surgeon.
Right.
Like what's going on with you,
Right.
I'm very proud of who I am. I got a gorgeous husband.
Like your husband, can you tell me about him?
My husband, Eric. Hey, Eric. So he's a nurse anesthetist. We met when I was a med student. So we've been together for, almost 12, 13 years now.
He was in Kansas City doing his training.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's been amazing.
Yeah.
Like he's supported me from being a little med student with $100 in my bank account. All the way through residency. We've done long distance. We've been back together. We did more long distance. We went back together. It's been a journey. He's always been my rock though. We got married about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
You were there.
And I have to say, it was one of the funnest weddings I've ever been to.
It was a good time.
We still talk about it.
Yeah. I loved having you there. But yeah, Eric, he's great. So I'm happy to have him in my corner. I'm proud of my marriage with him.
You should be.
And it's like, why should I diminish that?
Right.
Because someone doesn't agree with my lifestyle.
Or why hide it?
It's like, that's your problem, man, not my problem.
Right.
I'm very proud of him.
Right.
And
look at your credentials and what you do.
Right.
I mean, you manipulate the pancreas. Right?
Yeah. I touched the pancreas. So
what advice would you tell medical students or even residents who are in the LGBT community? What advice would you tell them?
This may sound not, I don't know if this sounds harsh or not, but don't make it about yourself. Honestly, make it about your patients and learn to master what you're doing, because there is so much to learn in this field. And it's just never going to stop. You need to continue getting better. Don't be ashamed of who you are, but I didn't make being gay my entire identity.
Right.
Because that's just not who I am. There's so much more to me than just that.
Right.
I'm also a surgeon. I'm a son. I'm a husband. I'm so many other things.
Right.
So focus on being a good doctor and mastering your craft.
Do you think we still have a long way to go in medicine for shifting the inclusivity, I guess? Do you feel
yes. While I think a lot of it's probably location dependent too.
Sure.
Kind of where you end up.
Sure.
And kind of things like that. I know Eric, my husband, he had some bad experiences in smaller towns and stuff when he was rotating as a CRNA and just hearing a lot of like really nasty homophobic comments and stuff like that. And he would get really upset about it. But yeah, so we still have a long way.
Yeah.
We still have a long way.
And as I've always said, it's not about us, that we will never be able to change people's viewpoints. I think there will always be a degree of
Right.
homophobia or racism. I think it's just showing who you truly are and your character.
Right.
Someone once told me that your character is who you are when no one else is watching, and that has really stood by me for many, many years.
Absolutely.
So it makes me wonder what people think of me.
But my residency director told me that she knew I was gay when she saw my shoelaces were matching my shirt.
Really?
I just thought it was super funny.
Check. All right. You passed the residency.
I'm like, yeah, I pay attention to details.
You have to, right?
I have to. It's my job.
What excites you about kind of the future of surgery and where it's going in the field?
Technology for sure. So I also am a robotic surgeon. So the general surgery part of my practice is almost exclusively robotics. So and then I do a good portion of my hepatobiliary and oncology things on the robot as well. I just think robotics is just changing everything for patients.
Why do you find that some surgeons shy away from robotic technology as opposed to you being someone that really, really thrives in that?
I think access to the robot, access to OR time with the robot is a big thing. I think in order to get really proficient at it, you have to have a lot of volume, a lot of cases.
And not every hospital, obviously.
Not every house. Vegas is a pretty unique city that it's very robotic heavy. We have access to robots here 24/7. I can be on call in the ER. It could be 2 a.m. and I want to add on a robot appendix and they'll let me do that.
Wow.
So, and yeah, there's a lot of big robotic pioneers here in the city. A lot of the general surgeons. I work with some of them. So,
do you think it diminishes your skills with your hands?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
I've heard that before, that you don't want to use the robot because you will lose the skill of cutting skin and holding tissue and manipulating tissue.
Maybe for some people, but I feel like it doesn't. I trained in open surgery at a trauma center, in Colorado. So we did a lot of open stuff. I can jump back and forth between the robot and open without a problem. I think maybe for some of the older surgeons, I guess they may have an issue with, adapting the robotic technology because they've been doing things laparoscopic and open for so long. So that could be a factor.
Sure.
But no, I think it's just great for patients.
Yeah.
It's I did a colon surgery the other day, and literally in 2 days the lady was home.
Wow.
I removed a part of her colon.
Wow.
And it's just and the cuts are so small. Sometimes I'm like, I can't believe we did all that big surgery through these little cuts.
So the outcomes are better. The recovery time is a lot faster.
Yep.
And patients typically do better. We have evidence that shows that patients typically, their outcomes are much better.
There is evidence. Even in some of these bigger surgeries that I'm doing, probably one of the biggest surgeries I do is the Whipple surgery. It's a removal of the pancreatic head. Big operation. It's big even when you're open. There's a shift now in the field where a lot of surgeons are learning to do robotic Whipples. That's one of my big goals coming up, is to start doing robot Whipples. There's only one surgeon in the city doing them. So I kind of want to be the next one.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Stuff to look forward to.
That brings me to my next question. Is that where you see yourself in the next 5-10 years, or how do you envision your ideal medical practice? Where do you want to take your skills in the future?
Sure. So I'm fortunate enough to work with an amazing group of surgeons at Southern Nevada Surgery Specialist. We're a private practice.
I hope they're watching.
Hey guys, they're just the most amazing group. So I'm up for partnership coming up.
That's incredible.
So my plan is to stay here in Vegas. I'm not going anywhere, and continue to advance. My skills. I'm always learning. I'm not a master. I'm learning new things every day.
Yeah.
I watch videos. I watch robotic videos. I'm always reading. It's a constant practice.
Sure.
There's always stuff to learn.
Yeah.
New things, and it's also I learn from my partners and I'm there for them as well. So being a HPB surgeon, one thing is we're used to complex cases. So I'm able to be a source for my partners, which I love being able to do that. Help them with their cases and help them grow as well. It's kind of crazy to talk about that because I'm so young, but
it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
I like being able to be that guy to help my partners, help my patients, help everybody.
Do you think there is, in the surgical world, a benefit for AI? Do you see AI coming into play at all, good or bad?
For certain things, note writing. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Notes are kind of the crutch of everything we do.
Yeah. Open evidence is outstanding.
Yeah. I need to get on it. Because I can do some help.
It can formulate a note that is more detailed than I could ever imagine, even having a scribe.
Yeah.
So I think, and I've talked about it before in other podcasts, that I do think AI for me as a physician has absolutely been outstanding. I don't know. I do think it needs some regulation, obviously. I don't know what the future holds for that, but I'm just curious if there is anything with AI in the surgical world.
I think hopefully with diagnosis and workup and maybe early detection for a lot of these cancers, that we can use AI to help with that. I think that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's all about early detection. Get people in, get them cured.
Do you ever see yourself owning your own surgical practice? I know I've asked you this before, and I know it's easy for me to say in my world as someone who is constantly promoting physician leadership and entrepreneurship. Is that a possibility in surgery?
It is, and there are surgeons that do that. It's not really me. I tell people the only thing I'm good at is being a surgeon. I don't have that business sense. I'm learning it, but it's not like passion of mine.
Sure.
I am going to be a partner in my group, so I'll be a part owner, but that's probably good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'll let someone else kind of crunch all the numbers and do all the stuff. I just don't have the space in my brain for it.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It is. I can only imagine.
It's a lot of work. And again, go back to the questions about medical students and residents. Do you have any advice for them for wanting to enter a surgical field? What advice would you tell them? Again, kind of going back to our discussion, is there opportunities in the future? Obviously, you've had to work to become a partner.
Right.
Is that not for everybody? What do you have to do to achieve that? Obviously, there's a financial benefits and part ownership, but for future surgeons, is that common? Or do they just work for a corporation? Or
it depends on what you want as a surgeon, right? When I think some good advice is when you're leaving residency, really figure out what kind of practice you want to be involved with. I specifically came to Vegas because I wanted to be in private practice. I don't want to do a lot of academics. I'm not really, I am a consumer of research, but I am not a researcher. So I knew exactly what I wanted in a practice, and Vegas checked all the boxes. Mentorship was a big thing for me. So leaving residency, setting yourself up for success, get yourself a good mentor, okay? Because you're going to need them, especially when you're fresh out of training. I am lucky enough to have Dr. Fusco here, Arthur Fusco in Vegas, who's been phenomenal. And he says I did the Fusco Fellowship. You know him. He's a character. So the people are always in my corner. Setting yourself up for success, right? Don't get into something that you're not passionate about. If you don't want to do research, don't apply for a job that is at a big academic center that wants research. So kind of figure out what you want, and kind of take it from there.
What is one thing that, if you could change with the American healthcare system, what is one thing that you would like to see change as a surgeon?
Oh, only one thing? It's a big question. access to healthcare is a big one. Maybe reducing costs for patients, because some of these like co-pays and some of these out-of-pocket expenses are just unaffordable for people in this country. I can't tell you how many times I've seen patients come to me with these huge bills, and they're like, "How in the world are we going to pay for this?" It doesn't seem fair in this country that has so much money, so much wealth, and that yet our patients still struggle to pay for healthcare. Here. It's such the paradox is just crazy.
Most healthcare expenditure happens in my world, in the primary care setting. When patients are purchasing insurance, they are paying for that 20%, for that late night appendix rupture, for all the complications that can go arise, that smaller percentage. And I wish we could shift that in a way where patients could afford better access to primary care. But we are paying, all of us consumers in the United States are paying for that 20%. And that catastrophic. I wish we could shift it more for paying for primary care and then having a smaller plan that really just focuses on a catastrophic plan. I think there used to be.
Yeah, but something's gotta improve, because people are gonna get sick. People are gonna need healthcare. You shouldn't have to choose between paying your rent and paying for your medical bill. Not in this country.
So, having said that, what do you think of concierge medicine? And I've heard good and bad. I'm curious from a surgical perspective, when you hear concierge medicine, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm a patient of Parker Medical, so I love concierge medicine. I do feel I wish everyone had access to it. And wish medicine was kind of like that for everyone, but I know it's not realistic. Honestly, I love the ability to spend more time in the office with you, and you're Dr. Parker, you're the doctor's doctor. So literally, I mean, you see so many physicians here in Vegas. I love that I can just drop in and get my labs done, and I show up in my scrubs sometimes. You guys are always so accommodating. Thank you.
Wow.
But I wish more people had access to it. I love the model.
I do too.
But it's not realistic for everyone. But
I do get criticized for contributing to maybe the national physician shortage. There is a physician shortage in our country. And I've always said, I'm happy to give up being a concierge physician if reimbursement would be a lot better. I know healthcare costs have gone up. What it costs to own a business, the overhead, the rents, the medical supplies, it is staggering. And insurance reimbursement really has not changed, or at least in my world, for many, many years. So do you have any questions for me? I know we're getting to the end of our time here, but any questions that you have for me?
Trying to think. I'm on the spot. No, I can't think of anything specifically. I will just comment. I love the way that you take care of your patients. I think I love seeing that, because I do see a lot of your patients. They have nothing but good things to say about you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
And I wish more primary carers and internists and were kind of like you guys. To be honest with you, because patients are being very well taken care of.
Well, I appreciate all what you do and for everything that you do. I know the white coat and the stethoscope and the scalpel can be very heavy at times. But I know that you do an outstanding job for your patients. And so certainly I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you. Likewise.
So for these stories and more, guys, go to www.outofnetworkpod.com or wherever your favorite podcasts are. We are located on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. We hope you're one of our favorites. Thanks, guys.